What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to week 4 of WBE. This week, we're against the one, the only Moxieboosted. This dude has a seriously good team, so we're gonna break down how we're gonna beat him, and then we're gonna get straight into the battles. If you do enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and let's do this! So let's take a look at Moxie's team. He's got the G-Max Charizard, he's got Drampa, Klefki, Mandibuzz, Manectric, Mudsdale, which this thing's a problem. Berserker, Slowking, the Super OP Togepi, and Venusaur. So there is some obvious threats on his team. G-Max Charizard and Venusaur both benefit from the sun, which can be set up by a prankster Klefki. My electric terrain options are pretty much useless here. He does have some of his best Pokemon weak to it, but he also has massive immunities in Manectric and Mudsdale, which just completely nullifies my electric options. Togepi is surprisingly bulky. He doesn't even need to really run Eviolite on that thing. We could see a Togepi and Slowking lead with the Trick Room off the bat, so I have to be prepared for that. Klefki can pair up with Charizard or Venusaur to get that fast sleep, to get that solar power boost. And he can pair up an eject button Klefki and trick an eject button onto me and use any of his priority options to make me switch out. Drampa is really good in Trick Room and has an insane move pool. Mudsdale has so many different options with stamina and own tempo. We could see weakness policy, we could see assault vest. This team just has so many directions in which it can go. I feel like this week I have to play a defense instead of the hyper offense that I'm used to. First up this week we have Sneasel. We're running Taunt, Beat Up, Surf, and Triple Axle with a Focus Sash. Sneasel is going to be one of our 2 leads this week with a very nice flowchart, and Sneasel is integral to this team. We've got Taunt to deal with the Klefki and the Togepi. Triple Axle can hit many of his Pokemon very hard, including Drampa, Mandibuzz, Mudsdale, Venusaur, Charizard. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sneasel pick up a couple kills this week. Beat Up to boost our Virizion if we got the chance. Surf to activate the weakness policy on Coalossal. Our second lead this week is Virizion running Leaf Blade, Brick Break, Stone Edge, and Bounce. Got that Assault Vest. Can take some big hits if needed. Brick Break to get rid of those pesky screens if Klefki decides to set them up. This thing hits hard and has very nice coverage. Indeedee makes the team for a 4th week in a row. Aromatherapy, Expanding Force, Helping Hand, and Follow Me, running a Psychic Seed. As always, Indeedee's main job is to just take hits and die. The Psychic Seed boosted its own defense this week, but it's very important we got a Psychic Terrain to nullify the Prankster Thunder Wave coming from the Klefki. Next up, we have Coalossal doing what Coalossal does. Heat Wave, Ancient Power, Solar Beam, Protect, Weakness Policy, hoping to get that Steam Engine up, the Weakness Policy boost. This will be unstoppable if we set it up. Felix makes a return this week, running Rock Slide, Curse, Iron Head, and High Horsepower. Also running a Patcho Berry so it can deal with that horrible Slowking he might bring. Curse will also make me the fastest thing in Trick Room with a +1 attack boost and a +1 defense boost. Only going to be bringing this if he does bring hard Trick Room. However, we all know how scary this thing can be. Finally, we have Coalossal running the Aqua Jet, Terrain Pulse, Water Pulse, and Dark Pulse. Basically a secondary option to set up Coalossal and also deal some heavy damage to Slowking, Venusaur, and Mudsdale. Let's get into the battle! Okay, and hopping into game 1, we see Moxieboosted bringing the Charizard, Hitmontop, Slowking, Manectric, Klefki, and Mudsdale. We don't see Venusaur and we don't see Togepi. Jack sticking with exactly what he practiced with. Sneasel and Virizion in the lead, Indeedee and Coalossal in the back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Moxieboosted is leading with the Hitmontop and the Klefki, and Jack with the Sneasel and Virizion. Hopefully Jack can identify the trick eject button coming in from the Klefki and the Mach Punch or the Sucker Punch coming in from the Hitmontop. Hitmontop running the Intimidate ability, lowering the Virizion's attack. However, due to inner focus, Sneasel is unaffected. And we see a first turn Dynamax coming in from the Virizion. Jack has forward right into Moxie's trap. Just as we thought, we see the switcheroo from the Klefki, switching items with Virizion. Virizion receiving the eject button, and Klefki receiving the assault vest. And then we see the sucker punch coming in from the Hitmontop, activating the justified ability from the Virizion, but it means nothing. That Virizion is out of here. Jack switches in the DD like he should have done in the first place, activating that Psychic Surge. That would have prevented the switcheroo. The Psychic Seed activates, upping the special defense of the Indeedee. In comes the beat up from the Sneasel onto his own Indeedee. He literally takes over 50% of his own Pokemon's health. Moxie has him in the palm of his hand. Now we see Jack switch back the Indeedee. Out comes the Virizion. Maybe he's trying to get a beat up off on the Virizion. But before that, out comes the Dynamax, and we see Hitmontop becoming a big boy. Sneasel just wasting a turn, going for the taunt onto the Klefki that's already holding an assault vest. So the taunt is completely pointless. Here we see Klefki's attacking move, Dazzling Gleam, hitting both Pokemon for super effective damage, and then the Hitmontop reveals Max Knuckle, but the Virizion survives on 3 HP. The 8-Pole Luchas are champions at these low HP clutches. It's a shame that doesn't translate into his in-game decisions. Next, we see the Sneasel switch out for the Indeedee once again. I'm surprised he didn't just attack his own Virizion and end this game. What is this man doing? Virizion goes for the bounce, just prolonging the inevitable. That big fat L that he's gonna take. Dazzling Gleam from the Klefki doing some extra chip damage onto the Indeedee, and the Max Quake is revealed and avoided by the Virizion. Indeedee goes for the helping hand, and boy, does Jack need a helping hand right now. In comes the bounce, hoping for a paralyze and maybe some full paralysis. But no, the Virizion does less than 50% HP to the Hitmontop. Dazzling Gleam hits both Pokemon, taking out the Virizion. Klefki picking up the kill. Then Max Quake is left to hit the Indeedee and pick up yet another kill. Jack sends out his final 2 Pokemon, the Sneasel and the Coalossal. Let's hope Jack isn't in for an embarrassing 4-0 defeat here. Sneasel going for the Surf, activating Colossal's weakness policy, getting a very tiny bit of damage on the Klefki, and the Hitmontop also activates the Steam Engine from the Coalossal. The Coalossal is now +6 speed, +2 attack, +2 special attack. We do see the Heat Wave from the Coalossal here. However, Klefki and Hitmontop are both +2 special defense after the 2 Max Quake boosts. So unless it's a super crit, it looks like Coalossal is going to go down here as well. And the Heat Wave just doesn't do enough damage. Dazzling Gleam picking up another kill on Sneasel. Klefki with 2 kills. And then Hitmontop with the Drill Run, easily taking care of the Coalossal. Moxieboosted and the Chicago Blackflock take game 1. Alright, and into game 2, and both teams lead with the exact same Pokemon. Virizion Sneasel for the 8-Hole Luchas, and Hitmontop and Klefki for the Chicago Blackflock. The Intimidate coming out once again, not affecting the Sneasel, but lowering the attack of the Virizion. Okay, and hopping straight into the action, Jack learns from past mistakes and switches into the Indeedee to avoid the switcheroo from the Klefki and prevent the Sucker Punch from the Hitmontop. The Psychic Terrain activates, the Psychic Seed activates, boosting the special defense of the Indeedee. But out goes Klefki, and in comes the Mudsdale. Moxie predicting that he can't get Jack with the same trick twice. We see another turn 1 Dynamax from the 8-Hole Luchas. Virizion once again Dynamax it, but this time he might actually get to use it. And it looks like we have a turn 1 Dynamax from the Blackflock as well. Hitmontop the target for the Dynamax once again. The Max Airstream coming in from the Virizion onto the Hitmontop, but after that Intimidate, it really isn't doing much to the Hitmontop, but it does boost both Indeedee's and Virizion speed. Hitmontop going for the Max Hailstorm onto the Virizion. This could do some major damage. Does just over 50% to the Virizion, and it changes the weather to hail. As turn 2 begins, the Virizion goes for another Max Airstream, getting as much damage on that Hitmontop as possible, boosting the speed of both Pokemon yet again. While the Indeedee opts to just go for the Expanding Force, getting the critical hit on the Mudsdale and doing some major damage. However, the Hitmontop lit that comfortably, telling the 8-Hole Luchas that is probably Assault Vested. Max Knuckle from the Hitmontop hits the Indeedee, doing just over 50% damage, raising the attack of the Mudsdale and the Hitmontop. And the Mudsdale doubles down into the Indeedee, revealing a Lash Out and picks up the kill. Out comes the Sneasel for the 8th Luchas in the hail. Its ice type attacks will be boosted and it won't take any residual damage. Moxieboosted decides to preserve the Hitmontop, maybe for some extra intimidates in the late game. And out comes the Klefki. Here we see the max overgrowth from the Virizion into the Mudsdale. Will it be enough to pick up that kill? And it is! Down goes the Mudsdale. And the grassy terrain is set. We see the triple axle coming out from the Sneasel into the Klefki, doing about 25% damage, activating that eject button. And the Klefki is out of here! Out comes the Manectric. Jack has to be careful here. Manectric can run some very powerful fire attacks. We see the Klefki come back out and we're left with a 3v3 situation. Jack switches out the Klefki and out comes the Coalossal. And Moxie has a similar idea, switching out the Manectric, bringing in the Hitmontop, trying to get the Intimidate on the Virizion. However, with Sneasel and Coalossal on the field, that Intimidate becomes pretty ineffective. Sneasel goes for the Surf into the newly switched in Coalossal, activating his weakness policy and its steam engine, setting up this Coalossal to do some major damage. Dazzling Gleam comes in from the Klefki, getting some chip damage on the Coalossal, but it's nowhere near enough to take it out. The Klefki going for the Thunder Wave into the Coalossal, but unfortunately for Moxie, it misses. And now that +2 Heat Wave comes in from the Coalossal, taking out both Hitmontop and Klefki. A nice double KO for Coalossal. Moxie now down to his final Pokemon. Manectric takes the field. Coalossal going for the Ancient Power to make sure he hits that Manectric. Will it be enough to take it out? Not quite. But in comes the Sneasel with a triple axle, hits the Manectric twice, and game 2 goes to the 8th Luchas! The 8th Luchas bringing it to a game 3, 3 out of 4 weeks. Moxieboosted leading with Klefki and Charizard this time, but Jack isn't changing anything up. Goes for the Sneasel and Virizion lead once again. Jack opting for the safe play, not wanting to take that eject button, not wanting to take that Thunder Wave, brings out the Indeedee to nullify the Prankster ability on the Klefki. Psychic Surge activates, Psychic Seed activates, that special defense is boosted. And we see yet again a turn 1 Dynamax from the 8th Luchas, Virizion. Dynamax in 3 games in a row. This time we see a turn 1 Gigantamax from Moxie. Charizard bringing out them Flame Wings, looking completely badass. We see the Max Guard from the Charizard, not wanting to take a hit from Virizion. And Klefki tries the Thunder Wave, but the Psychic Terrain stops it. Virizion shows the Max Rock Fall, but the Charizard is protected and won't take any damage. The Indeedee goes for the Follow Me. Virizion does not want to take either of Charizard's stab moves. And the Klefki resets the terrain with Misty Terrain. Virizion goes for the Max Rock Fall, but Charizard does have the Charty Berry. It's going to half the damage of that Rock Fall, and Charizard's going to eat that up nicely. The Sandstorm has been set, and the Max Wildfire comes out from the Charizard. Indeedee eats that very nicely, but that is going to chunk away at Indeedee and Virizion, plus Sandstorm damage every turn. We see a switch here from Moxieboosted, preserving that Charizard for the late game. Out comes the Hitmontop, getting the Intimidate onto the Virizion. That could be very important. Indeedee doing what Indeedee does, going for Follow Me once again, and Virizion goes for the Max Rock Fall into the Charizard slot, but Hitmontop is going to eat that like birthday cake. Finally, we see the Dazzling Gleam from the Klefki doing a little bit more damage to the Indeedee and the Virizion. Virizion now back in its normal form, goes to the bounce to avoid any moves that the Klefki and the Hitmontop are going to throw at it. Expanding Force from the Indeedee does a nice chunk to the Hitmontop, while Klefki picks up yet another kill with the Dazzling Gleam. Virizion avoids both the Dazzling Gleam and the close combat from the Hitmontop. In comes the Coalossal once again from the 8th Luchas. We see a switch again here from Moxieboosted. Out goes the Hitmontop. In comes the Mudsdale. Coalossal playing it safe, going for the Protect. Avoids the switcheroo from the Klefki, who is still holding that eject button. And in comes the Bounce onto the Mudsdale, doing little to no damage and boosting the Mudsdale's defense by 1. And here we see the Leaf Blade coming in from the Virizion, hoping for the crit on the Mudsdale, but all it does is a little bit of chip damage and raises its defense once again. Activating the weakness policy as well on the Mudsdale. This is a very scary situation for Jack to be in. Dazzling Gleam hits both Coalossal and Virizion, but the 8th Luchas surviving once again on very little HP. The Heat Wave from the Coalossal, hoping he's going to hit a crit. He does not, but he does do a nice amount to both Mudsdale and Klefki. The eject button from the Klefki, forcing the switch back into Hitmontop. The Mudsdale goes for the Heavy Slam into the Virizion. Coalossal survives. Sneasel is in the back. Will Jack be able to pull this game back? Virizion goes down, allowing the free switch into Sneasel. Sneasel goes for the Surf, activating the weakness policy and the steam engine once again. +6 speed, +2 attack, +2 special attack on the Coalossal. Does a little bit more damage to the Mudsdale. The big question here is Heatwave going to be able to knock out both Hitmontop and Mudsdale? It does have a 90 base accuracy, so it could miss. And the Heatwave connects on both Pokemon, knocking them both out. Another double KO for the 8th Hawluchas. Moxieboosted sends out his final 2 Pokemon. The 2 Pokemon he started this game with, Klefki and Charizard. The Charizard goes for Protect, not wanting to take an Ancient Power from the Coalossal. The Thunder Wave lands on the Coalossal, paralyzing it. Sneasel and Coalossal both doubling up into the Charizard. It is protected though, it takes 0 damage this turn. The Sneasel goes for the triple axle into the Charizard, picking up a big KO. Sneasel making its way up the kill leaderboard. The Ancient Power from the Coalossal hits the Klefki, doing a small amount of damage, but all Jack has to do is hit 1 Heat Wave to end this game. Dazzling Gleam chipping away at both Coalossal and Sneasel. Sneasel goes for the triple axle into the Klefki. Will it be enough to pick it up if he hits all 3 hits? Not quite. The Coalossal gets fully paralyzed and it is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Klefki picking up yet another kill on the Sneasel. And through a series of full paras and critical hits, Moxie could still win this game. The Coalossal goes for the Ancient Power and he hits it, picking up the kill on Klefki. The 8th Hawluchas win the set and they are 4-0 in the WBE! Okay, for real guys, as always, thank you to Moxie for the amazing battle. If you want to check the post-game interview, it's over on his channel. If you are a supporter of the 8th Hawluchas, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe with notifications on if you haven't already. Sorry I didn't have time to add the overlay this week, but there will be a live version up on NerdOut Gaming very soon. As always, I'll see you next time, and peace!
Control me, but the demons are breaking now.